All right. Welcome to the Dynasty Playoff Preview. We're going to go through each matchup in the Dynasty League. I'm your host, John Morrow, manager of the Onions. I'm with my co-host, Dan Bolton, manager of Dan's Dynamic Team. We're going to go through each matchup. We're going to run down the rosters. We're going to run down the managers. We're going to come up with a player to watch, and we're going to pick a winner. Dan, welcome. Let's get started. So we're going to start with the first matchup, Eric versus Crony and Spid. We have two teams that are sort of in different spots right now. Eric's been a top team most of the year. Crony and Spid have been sort of middling throughout the year, been playing better as of late. I'm curious what you think about this matchup.
Well, first of all, glad to be here. Glad to be podcasting with you again. Let's get into the Dynasty Playoff Preview. You down with DPP?
You know me.
Eric versus Crony and Spid. Again, yeah, you hit the nail on the head. Eric's been a perennial powerhouse. Great squad. Curious to see how the Monty versus Connor trade works out. There's me bringing my own trade into the conversation first.
In my opinion, one of the best trades the league's seen. Eric was Lions heavy. You were Cardinals heavy. You made what seemed to be a fair swap. I think we're going to see this playoffs how it works out. But that was a good trade. I said it at the time. I still believe it.
Exactly. But yeah, no, I mean, just getting right into the matchup here. Yahoo's got it projected at like 120 to 113 in favor of Eric. Makes a lot of sense. I mean, that's approximately the amount of points they were averaging going into the year, or throughout the year, I should say. A couple of guys I'm interested in looking at on both sides. A really good receiver battle here. You got Terry McLaurin for Eric's excellent team. Brand new news, Noah Brown going to be out for the rest of the year. Terry was already seeing a lot of double teams. Obviously, Jaden Daniels, some of the rookie magic has worn off at this point. He's still obviously a great player, but I think defenses are starting to figure him out. So does Terry continue the Terry's been on, or, does he kind of hit a little bit of a wall as we get to the end of the season here, which is exactly what has happened, I think, on the flip side with DK Metcalf. So that's a player I'm really looking at for Crony and Spid here. Is he able to turn things around? He's had single-digit outputs in the last 3 weeks, coming off an injury before that. So is he able to, again, kind of turn his season around and be the dominant player he has been in the past, or is he going to sort of crash and burn with their season?
Yep, absolute beast DK is. I was actually eyeing another receiver on Crony and Spid's team. A guy I've had my eye on all year is Jerry Jeudy. I think ever since Amari left the Browns, Jeudy sort of definitely stepped into that number one receiver role. Good chemistry with Winston. He's been going off. He's got that diva mentality. I like the kid from Bama. And then on the other side, my player to watch, it's an obvious one, but Derrick Henry, he's coming off a bye. He's at the Giants. He's been carrying Eric's team all year. I will say Eric last week put up 82 points. Not great. I didn't check the buys. I'm sure he had some people on buy, but 82 is by far the lowest number we've seen of a playoff team. Crony and Spid the last 3 weeks, 134, 150, 120. So we'll go into the predictions now. I'm going to say this is going to be my upset. I got Crony and Spid squeaking one out over Eric.
Wow. That'd be big. I guess trying to think, the playoffs reseed. I think the playoffs do reseed. So then that would open up an opportunity for, that would certainly open up the bracket there. I'm going to disagree with you on that one. I think, again, Eric has been in the semifinals or finals in, I think, each of the last 3 years, each of the last 2 looking to make it 3. Yep. And I think he accomplishes that.
For sure. I mean, definitely a great manager. I just think the team's trending down. We'll see. He could prove me wrong. That's my prediction here. Let's go right into the next matchup. We're going to look at now, this is the CBS 1 o'clock game. This is Larry's Tomatoes, and they'll always be the Tomatoes to me, versus 2028. I don't fully get the team name, but that's Snee. This is an interesting matchup as well. So Larry, I've been grooming Larry. I spoke to him a few weeks ago. I said, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of the team you put together, and you're my pick to win it, and no one wants to see you. He's gone on to continue to be solid last 3 weeks, 137, 120, 137, obviously carried by Saquon. Snee, on the other hand, he's got a lot of injury questions. Tyreek, CD, and Kamara all questionable. Kamara's been a surprise, been good this year as an older guy. The QB matchup favors Snee with Mahomes over Darnold, although Mahomes hasn't been great. I'm always waiting for him to show up. I think this is going to be a close battle, Dan. I don't know. What do you think about this one?
But you just touched on my player to watch for Snee's squad. What the hell's going on with Patty Mahomes? Like, again, been top QB, top fantasy player, certainly top dynasty player, in that QB position. And again, especially in a one QB league, when you can have a QB that's like up there with the top wide receivers and running backs, like, that's legit. And so where'd he go? What happened? So again, it's sort of crunch time right now, but the Chiefs, they're, with Buffalo getting their third loss, the Chiefs might be coasting into the 1 seed in the bye in real life.
Not good.
How does that bode for Mahomes, in the final few weeks of the year here? So, again, very, very intriguing to watch on that side. He's got to get it done this year. He's got a lot of old guys on the squad, heavy hitters, good players, but now's the time. So I don't know if that has something to do with the 2028 name or what, but I do think it's almost into the now or never range.
Chase Brown's been amazing for Snee. Cooper Kupp, I'm waiting for him to really go off. He's been getting better the last few weeks. And then back to Larry's side. I mean, Saquon could be this year's Christian McCaffrey, where he could just throw up 50 this week. He could throw up 50 any week. The rest of the team, I mean, the receivers are okay. Devontae Adams, Devonta Smith. I'd say high floors, not the highest of ceilings. They could prove me wrong. Chuba's all right.
Larry's got a tough choice here at the tight end spot, I think. Obviously, Johnny Smith's been going off of late, but he's also got Evan Ingram there on the bench. Not a lot of teams have like key decisions to make. I guess obviously every decision in the playoffs is going to be a key start-sit decision. But like a lot of teams sort of have their starting lineup mostly set. So I think this is an intriguing one to watch throughout. Is like, where does Larry go? Playing the hot hand. What's he feeling? One decision could be all that makes the difference in any matchup, as we know. So
last week, Larry put up 137, Snee put up 140. So if we have similar weeks, it'll be a barn burner. So if I'm going to make a pick, I'm going to go with Snee. I think Snee has a deeper team, a deeper starting roster. I don't recall exactly. I think Larry's defenses left something to be desired. I don't know if he's making a move there. Overall, I'm going to go with Snee this week. I don't love his chances overall, but I like him to take off Larry.
This is the second biggest discrepancy in terms of Yahoo projections this week. Yahoo has 61% for Snee versus 39%. Winning likelihood for Larry with the projections at 123 to 111. Two of my favorite managers in the league. What more can you say? Love these guys. But I'm going to go with this being my upset special, and I'm going to take Larry here for the W.
Yeah, I'd like to see Larry definitely advance in these playoffs. Definitely a good manager. Snee as well. So, yeah, it'll be a good one to watch. Nothing against either of these two guys. All right, let's move on. We're going to go to the Sunday night game. That's Dan's dynamic team versus the recently rebranded All Nuts, No Bolts. So definitely no love lost between these two managers. We've heard a lot from Paulie all week. We've heard a lot from him all year. Definitely a solid asset to the league. The guy cares. The guy tries. I mean, you can say that about everyone in the playoffs. I can't say that about everyone in the league, but I can say that about everyone in the playoffs. We care. We try. So that I'll just say, going down, Dan, you talked in the last matchup about Larry having some decisions to make. I mean, I don't know how many cards you're trying to show right now, but I think you have a few decisions to make, especially at the wide receiver position.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, I got to decide, I like the way you phrase that, how many cards I'm trying to show, because the question is, am I going with the card stack of Kyler and Marvin Harrison Jr., Or are we going with you good? Or do I switch it up and play the hot hand, being the Broncos with Bo Nix and Cortland Sutton there?
Switch it up like
Yeah. So again, I'm up in the air on that. When I went through and picked sort of the X factors in each matchup, I did pull out Marvin Harrison Jr. as the X factor for me. This kid is mega talented, but obviously some not living up to the hype of late. I think he can turn that around. I think he can flip it on his head. But yeah, we'll see. That'll be an interesting one to watch.
I'll tell you, for your team, and then we'll get to Paulie. My guy to watch for you, it's another obvious one, but Bijan could throw 40 for you and then sort of make a lot of problems go away. He's definitely, I think, your best player, probably the number one guy you would not want to see go down, knock on wood. Again, I like the trade for Montgomery. He's healthy, so that's been good to watch. You have decisions to make at quarterback. You have decisions to make at wide receiver, maybe even running back. I think you're probably set there. But then moving over to Paulie's team, my guy to watch is Zay Flowers. He's another guy who can go off. Kyron Williams has been great all year. I don't know if he's thrown up like 30, but he's definitely thrown up 20 a bunch. He gets in the end zone all the time. And Paulie has my favorite tight end in the league, K-Dot. And I think he's been a little worse the last few weeks, but overall a great player. Jared Goff, Nico Collins, of course. I will say last week, Paulie put up 77 points. The week before that, 105. The week before that, 97. You've been over 120 all 3 weeks. So if I'm making a prediction, I mean, I like you, Dan. You're my boy. I'm definitely rooting for Paulie here because I want to win, and I like your team. I think you're going to take this one. I would say this appears to be – it would be quite the upset to see Paulie take the lead. We'll see. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I can't give you a real good breakdown on Paulie's team. I really haven't even looked at his squad. Not nervous at all. I do think he had George Pickens, but it seems like he's probably not even going to play. So I don't even know what direction he goes with that. So his X factor will be whoever he chooses to fill in on that side.
I will say, and again, I love Paulie, but in my notes, I was just listing some of the starters, and I wrote Wandale Robinson with a sad face.
So that must be it. So yeah, we'll see. I guess it'll be the Malik versus Wandale matchup with Drew Lock slinging it to him or Tommy Cutlets. I don't even know who they're going to for that, but Lock. Okay.
They're going to be handing it to Tyrone Tracy, which brings me to the last matchup. That's the Monday Nighter. And honestly, I mean, I've been the 1 seed all year, the Onions. Wow, what a tough draw to pull Sammy, the commish. Another absolute, gem of a human, great commissioner, great league member. He's one of 14. He'll be the first to tell you that. He's one of 14. He just sets up the league. That's it. He's got a great team. I mean, looking through it, projections, I mean, it's 122 each. Going through it, I mean, I've had the quarterback advantage every single week with Lamar Jackson. I don't have it this week. He's got Josh Allen at Detroit. You got to imagine that's a barn burner. The total's 55, so you got to imagine teams are going to be going back and forth. I don't love to see that. One other thing to note on this matchup, week 2 or 3, Sam and I were in a hotel room in Vegas, absolutely wheeling and dealing, throwing in draft picks, trying to get something done. Eventually, we made it work. Sam Laporta for Jonathan Taylor, amongst some picks here and there, and Gus the Bus. But neither guy has been crazy good. Laporta's been trending up. He's Jonathan Taylor. He's a great player. I probably lost the trade. I will say what I like about the Lions, they have such a great offense. They've been throwing it around to everyone. They have not got Laporta in too much. The last few weeks, targets have ticked up. I think they might have ran out of plays to Amon-Ra and to Gibbs, and it's time to open up the tight end playbook. So I'm waiting for a huge day from Laporta. He had 2 tutties on Thanksgiving. I'm ready for that to continue, especially in this good matchup against the Bills. They want to keep winning. So it's a great matchup. To me, it's the marquee matchup. I'm curious your thoughts.
You said it all. It's a great matchup. The closest one as far as the projections. You both have guys that on any given week could go off and win you a week. Obviously, we've seen it with Jamar Chase. You mentioned Josh Allen, guy's a superhero apparently. But yeah, I mean, I am still there. There are some pieces that I'm very intrigued by. The running back battle. We talked about Tyrone Tracy. Is he going to be the hot hand getting fed there in New York? And then obviously the other New York team, you got Bryce Hall, or Brees Hall, I should say. What's his status
Garrett
coming
Wilson,
off injury there?
There's a lot of Jets on that team.
Yep. So he's loaded up there, but again, nobody wanted to catch Sammy sneaking into the playoffs there, and lo and behold, the prize for first place is having to sweat this one out.
Correct. Yep, that's the luck of the draw, though. And if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. So I'm not saying Sam's the best, but he's got a good squad. If I'm making a pick this week, I'm going with myself. It's going to be a barn burner. I think we both put up 130 plus. I like to think my guys will take it out in the end. Dan, give me a pick on this one.
I'm looking. Do you guys is it going to come down to like a Monday Night Football matchup at all?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You got Aaron Jones, and he's got the Minnesota kicker. All right. Just purely based off of that, I'll lean towards you. But again, I do agree. This will probably be the closest matchup of the weekend, and very intriguing because obviously, like we talked about, playoffs reseed into the next round. So if Sammy bumps you out immediately, he's matched up against me unless I'm bumped out as well. So,
well, that just about does it for us. We got 4 good matchups to watch. Hopefully there's no consolation bracket because no one wants to see that. All due respect to my guys in the basement. I appreciated the write-up from Ian and Bill and co from the basement, but now we're focused on what matters, and that's who's going to have the hardware at the end of this year. So with all that, Dan, thanks for joining. I think we'll be back next week for a semifinal preview. And until then, good night.
Go Teams.